Well, this was the scene in Selma, Alabama on Sunday, of course, commemorating Bloody Sunday. President Biden crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge with civil rights leaders, marking the anniversary of Bloody Sunday and the fight for voting rights. The president blasting Alabama's redistricting map, saying it discriminates against black voters, again calling on Congress to pass voting rights legislation, despite lacking the votes to get it done.
Selma is a reckoning. The right to vote, to have your vote counted, is the threshold of democracy and liberty. This fundamental right remains under assault. The conservative Supreme Court has gutted the Voting Rights Act over the years. But we know that we must get the votes in Congress to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. I made it clear, I will not let a filibuster obstruct the sacred right to vote.
Joining me now is Mark Morial, President and CEO of the National Urban League, which is holding its conference in D.C. this week for the first time in 4 years.
Yeah, first time our legislative policy conference, so virtual for 3 and now back in person, 500 strong.
You got to the White House last night.
Yeah.
So you were face-to-face with the president, you and your group, and we've heard his rhetoric. But why not last year? Why not when the Democrats had both houses? Why wasn't there a bigger push from the White House for voting rights?
It was deeply disappointing that truly 2 members of the Democratic caucus in the Senate stood in the way of the passage of voting rights. I mean, in truth and in fact, all of the behind-the-scenes efforts at that time were designed to cajole, assuage, convince Senators Manchin and Sinema to give us an exception to the filibuster rule. And, Andrea, there are 160 exceptions to the filibuster rule. Now, the pathway is more difficult, but we have to make the continuing moral case for the protection of democracy and voting rights. And it is troubling that in 2023 already there have been 150 pieces of legislation filed in 32 state legislatures across the nation to even further restrict voting rights. So I would hope that Americans would look at it this way. Right now in Ukraine, we're spending billions to protect Ukrainian democracy and their right to self-determination. Here at home, you've got an aggressive effort to undermine American democracy. This contradicts the very values of this country. So the president spoke with us yesterday. He sort of dropped in impromptu on our meeting at the White House with members of his staff and reaffirmed his commitment. And I think that there's going to have to be some creative efforts to achieve what we want to achieve, but also the maximization of executive power, but also the maximization of the presidential bully pulpit to make the case across the board to the American people that we need voting rights is what I think is in order.
But of course, now you don't have the House, you don't have Speaker Pelosi, and you've got a much harder, I mean, even if you could fight the filibuster battle, and the president was indicating that at the Edmund Pettus Bridge. He said the filibuster should not stand in the way.
And I would hope that Speaker McCarthy and Senator McConnell would break away from their pattern and have a real meaningful discussion with the civil rights community and with the leaders of the Democratic caucus on both sides about voting rights. They've been silent. They've not had anything to say. They've not engaged on this very important American issue. And as you know, in the 1960s, people like Everett Dirksen and other Republicans worked with President Johnson to pass voting rights, and it was a powerful moment in American history. Will Speaker McCarthy and Senator McConnell step up, or will they continue to avoid the issue and not meet the moment that I think is called on? And I think there's got to be a lot more illumination of their position and their conversation. They've got a role to play in this. And of course, we are willing and ready to meet with anyone, anywhere, anytime to have a productive discussion about voting rights.
Let me ask you about voting rights for the District of Columbia. And are you disappointed that the president clearly put politics in 2024 on the crime issue ahead of home rule for the D.C. when he flipped his position
unyielding
on that bill.
In my support for home rule for the District of Columbia. And I don't think any president or any Congress should interpose itself to nullify the actions of the D.C. City Council and the mayor of the District of Columbia.
That's what the Senate is prepared to do right now.
And I think it is wrong for them to do it. I think it is inconsistent. And, you know, Andre, it brings us back to the old days when the House and the Senate stood as a sort of super legislature, reviewing every action of the D.C. City Council and the D.C. mayor.
It hasn't happened since 1991.
And so this is not a positive move, and I think we've got to say this is why D.C. needs to be a state.
We'll have to leave it there. Can't argue with that. Thank you very much,
Appreciate
Mark Morial. It's always great to see you.